Poker is under attack. Trump's big beautiful bill could kill professional gambling. It could spell trouble for gamblers in Las Vegas. The headlines about the impact of a new piece of legislation on poker players in the US have really been scary. But what exactly does this potential tax grab on poker winnings really mean for you as a 1-2 or 1-3 live poker player? Is it really that bad? Well, it is, but for you it might just be okay. And in fact, cash game players could potentially even benefit from this new legislation. Let me explain why. But before we start, I just want to say that I'm not a tax expert and I'm not a political commentator either. I'm a poker player just like you. But I've spent the last week digging into this new tax rule because on the face of it, it really doesn't sound great. So, what's the key issue with this new rule from a poker player's point of view? The short version, you can now only deduct 90% of your losses against 100% of your winnings. So say you win $10,000 in a given year, but you also lost $10,000 in the same year. You will have ended up the year break even, except that from January 2026, you will only be able to claim losses of $9,000, which means that you have to pay taxes on the remaining $1,000, even though you actually didn't make a profit. If this sounds unfair to you, that's because it is. But unless a miracle happens, this will be the new reality for poker players in America. But not all poker players are created equal. Some will feel the pinch a lot more than others. Who will be hit hardest? Well, tournament players who are break-even or small winners. For these players, the games will become unbeatable. And even some of the best elite tournament players will definitely lose out on a lot of money. But what about live cash game players? Well, in theory, this will hit every player who is at least break-even quite hard. Except there is a problem when it comes to countries taxing cash game winnings. Unlike in tournament poker, where every buy-in and every cash out is meticulously recorded, things are a bit more complicated when it comes to cash games. Say for example, you sit down at a 1-2 cash game table and you're in the big blind. So you pay your $2 big blind. The button raises to $10 and you fold your 7-4 offsuit. You just lost $2 and under the new legislation you are now entitled to claim back 90% of this loss. So that's $1.80. But how is that supposed to work? Who is keeping track on that? Are you going to bring a notebook with you to the card room and write next to it that on March 17th at 8:49 p.m. you lost $2? And then you could argue that you don't need to keep track of every single hand because you could just keep track of every session rather than every individual hand. But this would distort the picture. Let me give you a simple example to show you how weird this can get. Say you play 2 sessions. In the first one, you're completely card dead. You fold every hand and just post the blinds 10 times, losing $30 in total. In the second session, the same thing happens again. Another $30 in blind losses, but then you pick up aces, get action and win $100 in one big hand. Now, overall, across both sessions, you won $100 and you lost $60. You can deduct 90% of those losses, that's $55, so you only pay tax on $46 of winnings. But if you track your results session by session instead of adding them together, you get something different. One session is a $30 loss, the other is a $70 win. Now, you only deduct 90% of $30, which is $27, so your taxable profit is just $43. That's already a small difference, but over hundreds of sessions, it could really add up. And it raises a key question. What's the right level of detail to track? So at the very least, I think that there could be a legal ground to dispute that. And then there is a more fundamental problem. Most card rooms don't record how much a player wins or loses, so there is no way for the IRS to track that. This means that they have to rely on players declaring those winnings or losses, which I'm not sure how many players actually do anyway. So quite frankly, I don't think a lot will change for live low-stakes cash game players, whether you're a winning player or a losing one. Didn't I say earlier that the new law might actually be good for live cash? I did. And here's why. And yes, it's certainly not guaranteed, but because tournament play is getting discouraged, there might be more tournament players who will play live cash games. This fresh blood into the cash game player pool might even prove profitable, as even accomplished tournament players often struggle to adapt to the bigger stacks in cash games. So there could be money to be won there. But for that, you need to have a good strategy in place. In this video here, I will share with you a way to crush players who are not used to playing deep stack poker.